Stay alert, something's about to happen. Do, 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 do. Yes, sir, yes, sir. Like, come on, think about that. It just happens over and over and over again. We call that life.
Check, check one, check, check.
Up to this point, we've talked about stress chemistry, regulation, and how dopamine has shifted from supporting motivation to driving constant anticipation. In this episode, we're going to connect those threads, or we're going to connect those dots. Because dopamine isn't just changing how people focus, it's quietly keeping the nervous system stuck in the survival mode. And most people have no idea that it's actually even happening. So let's start with something simple. Dopamine is activating. Anytime the dopamine rises, the body leans forward. Heart rate increases slightly, the attention narrows, and the nervous system prepares for movement. And this is useful when there's something real to pursue, right? But when dopamine is triggered repeatedly without that completion loop, without the end to the loop, the body never receives the signal that the task is actually done. So the system stays mobilized. Of course it does. This is where dopamine and stress chemistry actually intersect. You see, cortisol doesn't only rise in response to danger, but it also rises in response to anticipation. The body releases cortisol to make the energy available. Remember, that's your fuel, just in case action is needed. So it gives you a little bit of fuel if you need it. So when anticipation becomes constant, the cortisol never fully drops. Of course it doesn't. You're not burning the fuel to complete the loop. So this creates a subtle but persistent stress state. Not panic, not fear, just pure activation. And over time, this changes how the nervous system calibrates itself. Baseline arousal kind of creeps up. People start to feel restless without knowing why, on the edge even during downtime, and mentally busy but emotionally flat. They're not imagining it. It's just their system is being kept on standby. But here's where the loop tightens. Chronic activation suppresses serotonin. And serotonin, as we know, is responsible for emotional stability, patience, and a sense of enough. When serotonin is suppressed, people lose their sense of satisfaction. They may achieve things, but they don't feel settled afterward. So what do? They just simply seek more stimulation, more dopamine. The brain then learns that relief comes from anticipation, not completion. This reinforces the cycle. Dopamine spikes, nervous system activates. An activated nervous system, serotonin drops. Low serotonin, more dopamine seeking. And that loop just goes round and around and around. And it doesn't feel dramatic. It feels quite normal. Busy, distracted, always a little behind. You know those people, maybe you're one of them, that staying busy seems like that's the way life should be, because then you're distracted from everything, but there's no sense of completing that loop. So you might want to stop and think about that a little bit, that multitasking attitude. You don't get to complete the loop, so you keep searching for the next task. So it kind of keeps you in that state then. And because this state becomes familiar, people assume it's just how life is. It's the way you're supposed to fly. But until the body starts pushing back, the fatigue increases, motivation drops, tolerance for stress shrinks, your fuse grows short, and people feel like they're losing capacity. They're not losing that capacity at all. They're just chemically overloaded like a percolating pot. It just gets overloaded and the steam comes out. YouTube is a way to, if you're going to create a video just to pop on YouTube, just to get monetized, guess what? You're going to end up creating videos that you're not passionate about because you're chasing the pop side of things, and you're hoping that your channel's just gonna explode someday, and you can live on that. That's one end of it. Of course, that's one end of it for sure. And there's a huge demographic out there for people that tell you how to properly run your channel and how to beat the algorithm and all those tips and tricks is what I'm trying to say. But more than that, if you're just creating stuff that makes you happy, how can you argue with that? How can you? And you know what? Your video might get picked up, and you might inspire a whole community to do what you're doing. So don't be shy. You got a phone, use it. Do you know how many people are out there on the platform from my generation, actually older than my generation, that are just blowing up on YouTube because they got so many years under their belt? They're telling their story, and it's so authentic and so real. You can't ignore that, those stories. You resonate. It's like the old guy in the room when you just love the way he tells stories. Why? Because he's been through the fire, man. He's lived the experience. This is something really important to understand. The nervous system has no distinction. In other words, it doesn't know what a frickin' phone is. It doesn't know what social media is. And it doesn't know what modern work culture is. It only knows the signals. And the signals it's receiving say, stay alert, something's about to happen. Yes, sir, yes, sir. Like, come on, think about that. It just happens over and over and over again. We call that life. So the body doesn't know what it's designed to do. It stays ready because that's a program. And the problem with the program is there's no release, and that release just turns into more tension. And the tension without recovery turns into exhaustion. This is why traditional rest often doesn't work anymore. People don't know how to do it correctly anymore. So people stop working. But their nervous system doesn't do that at all. It has no idea how to downshift. They sit down, but their chemistry is still activated. It stays mobilized because there's no end to the loop. Scrolling doesn't help, and binging content doesn't help either. Right? It's just not going to work. Those behaviors add more anticipation than anything to an already activated system. If you're watching a show, oh, what's going to happen next episode? I know, I'll just binge watch it. And guess what? The end of that episode leads into the next one. So you never get to close the loop. And then the series is over and you go, well, that was a dumb ending, right? There's no satisfaction to that. And from a biological standpoint, that's not rest. That's stimulation disguised as rest or as recovery. So true regulation requires something different. It requires completion of signals. That's what it requires. Signals that actually tell your nervous system the task is over and now you can stand down. Those signals are rhythmic, predictable, and embodied. Breath that slows naturally. Heart rhythm, you can feel it, that actually stabilizes. And moments with a clear beginning and a very, very clear end. This is why activities with rhythm, walking, music, steady breathing, those types of things, they actually restore regulation faster than a passive distraction can. They close those loops, and once they do, guess what? They don't open new ones. They're complete. But here's the key realization of this episode. You're not addicted to dopamine. You are trapped in unfinished cycles. And an unfinished cycle keeps the nervous system activated. The solution is not removing dopamine from your life. Dopamine is very essential. The solution is restoring resolution, completion, rhythm, recovery. If you stop, think about that. If you take a moment and reflect on this stuff, it's going to make sense. I mean, it's going to make sense that it becomes common sense. You can't boil a pot of water and expect it not to burn you. It's going to burn you at some point. That's your chemistry. In the next episode, we're going to make this measurable. We're going to look at the heart rate variability, the HRV, and show how these chemical states appear clearly in the body. And it's not as a theory, it's actually as data. Because when people can see regulation happening in real time, they'll stop arguing with their experience and start trusting their body. It's like giving yourself goosebumps. I did an episode on that. And that's where real change becomes possible. We'll see you in the next one.